Well, good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. This morning we are streaming live online, newstalk1330.com and the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. So good morning. Thanks for joining us wherever you might be. Two handsome young lads joining us this morning, so that'll encourage you to go to the Facebook page now and watch this stream. Big news out of Carrollton on Friday. University of West Georgia announcing a transformative journey to join NCAA Division I athletics in the coming year. And that came after a vote by the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia. Now, as part of this transition, the UWG Wolves will join the Atlantic Sun Conference. That'll be effective July the 1st, creating a conference of 12 athletics teams across the southeastern U.S. There's a big old press conference going on today at noon on campus. It'll air on ESPN or ESPN Plus, and we'll talk about that with my guests this morning, UWG President Dr. Brendan Kelly and UWG Director of Athletics Jason Carmichael. My name is Colin Worthington. Again, thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. Well, just give us the initial feelings. What's the reception that you guys have received over the last 3 or 4 days? Everybody excited about this? There's a lot of questions being asked about how this will affect the community and students.
I think the overwhelming reaction is excitement.
And that's what I've seen too.
Yeah, I mean, that's UWG is the 7th largest university in the 8th largest state in the United States. But we don't always see ourselves through that lens. When you start to look at a Division I transition, the thing we discovered in that process is that we are already 300% plus of the enrollment of the average Division II school across the country, but we're 120% plus of the enrollment of Division I schools across the country. So we are ready. This is the right thing for the University of West Georgia, and everything I've heard inside of this community and all of the other communities we're in service to is just a lot of excitement. People are thrilled.
I've seen people commenting, all across the U.S. when they found out about it, and they were, rumors online last week. They were talking about it and everything like that. They were excited for this to happen at UWG. I guess tell us the qualifications. There's a few of them that I know, and there may be some smaller ones that I'm not aware. But what are the qualifications for Division II school to move up to Division I?
So there's not really a standard line, right? It's do you have the wherewithal to compete at that level? Right. So the standard line, and Jason can speak to those variables, there are certain facilities, certain numbers of sports, those types of things. But aside from that, you have to be able to have the capacity inside of your institution to kind of meet the standard of competing in Division I and making that sustainable. It's not different than any other program we would run at a university. So don't look at it as a fence to jump over, as much as are we ready to be successful in this particular venture?
Yeah, and I'll echo Dr. Kelly's sentiments, and then I'll color in a little bit and flesh that out on just the actual nuts and bolts of it, Colin. You've got to have the particulars that you do have to have when you punch your ticket or try to punch your ticket is one. Let me back up, and this stems directly from where Dr. Kelly landed. You've got to have somebody ask you to join their conference. So let's start with that. You can't just say, hey, we're going to Division I, we're going to be a free agent, make the public announcement, and not have a conference. You actually have to have somebody grab you by the hand and pull with you. And so that's been a part of the adventure over the last several months, really, better part of a half a year now of just working behind the scenes as we work through our own evaluation of our readiness. At the same time, at some point, you have to hook up and start talking to other leagues, potentially conferences, about is there mutual interest here? So that's been a part of the process. There are some hard and fast number of sports you've got to sponsor. You've got to have 8 women's sports at least and 6 men's sports. That number in particular is important for us and really justifies and pushes us towards adding men's track, which is part of this as well. And you've got to do an entry fee. You've got to go through a transition process. There's some nuts and bolts of it. But to Dr. Kelly's kind of macro level, it really starts with, are we ready to do this? And then is somebody wanting us? And honestly, during our process, it was really unique. We had a consultant involved. We ended up with multiple conferences that were extending a hand saying, we'd like to look at you coming into our space. And when you think about the geography of the matter, that starts to make sense. We're We're in a kind of expansion region for some leagues. We're in the center of the ASUN. There's just lots of geography that weighs into that as well. There's obviously just the resume of the campus as well that's very attractive for people. To Dr. Kelly's point, last little factoid nugget there, when we're going in the ASUN, I think we're actually going to be the 4th or 5th largest campus in that league when we go in. So we're going to be right there with a group of very like-minded institutions that are aspirant, that want to move forward. They're aspirational, and we see them as aspirant. So we're excited about it. But the actual nuts and bolts of it, we're going to punch all that stuff as we go through. But it really starts with where Dr. Kelly alluded to. It's, are you ready to elevate? And are people wanting to see you elevate with them? And that's where we've found some synergy with the ASUN. It's been exciting.
What kind of impact, if any, will it have on the education portion of college? The other thing.
It's a great question, Noah, and it's not the other thing, it's the thing. Like almost anything in any organization, in your families, in your life, when you can get certain core components really right, it feeds excellence in everything else. And for us, the athletics enterprise is the most visible part of a university in America. Whether we like that or not, that is just a fact. And we don't look at it through the lens of just Division I athletics at the University of West Georgia. We look at it as a call to elevation. It's Division I academic affairs, Division I student experience, Division I advancement. The expectations for everyone and everything go up, and that it comes kind of in a fashion that's radiating out of a more visible, vastly more visible component of our organization, because now we'll be on television instead of just sitting and talking within our own community about the University of West Georgia. We start to be on a national stage. And once you get certain parts of your organization on a national stage, that feeds elevation in other elements.
And we may have talked about this a couple months ago when you were on, just, a lot of, when I was in high school, if I kind of judged how cool that college was just based on the fact that they had a sports program, and I was familiar with their sports program, even though they may not have had the best education. So this is great exposure. Is there like a percentage? I mean, is this the potential exposure? Is it 10 times more exposure? Is it 5 times? Is it?
Yeah, I'll give you an example, Colin, that we stumbled across during our process. One of the ASUN institutions, Bellarmine, won a Division II national championship in the early teens of within the last 12 years, I guess. 2011, I think, is when they won a men's basketball Division II championship. Since then, they've transitioned to the ASUN. They had a year where they won the ASUN tournament. They were transitioning, so they didn't qualify for the NCAA tournament as a result, but they still could compete in the conference tournament just like we'll be able to. It was the same year I think they upset Louisville. In the course of those events, let me go back to the 2011 championship. They had about 3.6 million, this comes straight from their AD, 3.6 million impressions on social media within about a week of winning the national title. When they did those other things I just described to you, they had 3.6 billion social media impressions during that same kind of time frame. So the exposure is exponential. I would make it analogous almost to a high-powered, bat signal going off, right? And that's what I've experienced behind the scenes in the last few days. It's almost been a jerking of the head with some of our alumni who are devoted to West Georgia. The University of West Georgia means something to a lot of people. It just feels like the last few days it means something more. There's been a little bit of head jerking, like, hey, whoa, wait, what's going on? And whether they be folks, I mean, for me, it's important for me to be able to connect with those alumni for lots of reasons. Some of it is just simple mentorship, getting access to them to talk to our current student athletes to complete that whole education model we've talked about, the career readiness model. So we've had people from Major League Baseball reach out that we haven't heard from in a while. Other ranks were like, whoa. Finally. Mm-hmm. And so, because as you know, this has been a long-standing rumor in this community. Mm-hmm. And so to see it manifest right now, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of, again, that light, whatever rating is on this thing, it is bright right now, and people are jerking their heads back, and it's been fun.
Before we do take our final break, you talked about the impressions, social media impressions. Do you guys see yourself having to hire additional Colton Campbells to accommodate that?
Are you asking for a job, Colin?
Well,
I think, look at any time the scope of the organization, needs to match the scope of the demands that are on the organization. And we say that all of the time. We never mistake scope of organization for scope of impact. So we will add capacity as we need to add capacity, and that will all come from pressure points. Once we feel the pressure and the need to expand, we will.
Are we going to feel the change like gradually over the next year, or are we going to, as far as the community feeling the impact of this, they're going to feel it more a year from now and then on?
No, I think this is going to be a consistent evolution. I think everybody's going to continuously feel the change. We have a very large public university in Carrollton, Georgia, that isn't always, the presence of it isn't always felt the way it probably should be. This is going to make that presence inescapable in great ways, simply because there are more eyes paying attention to this place than there will have ever been before.
Very nice. Time right now is 8:41. We'll take our first break now and come back and continue our conversation with UWG President Dr. Brendan Kelly, UWG Director of Athletics Jason Carmichael, and we're on the Facebook Live this morning, News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. So if you want a question or comment, something we haven't touched on so far, please feel free to post that, and I will share that with our guests. Back in 1 minute. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
The AP Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined advanced placement curriculum track to earn a series of distinctions upon graduation. This journey enables academically prepared students to pursue college-level studies throughout 17 AP courses in 5 subject categories while enrolled at OMA. I'm Patrick Uran, Head of School, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
All right, time right now is 8:42. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice. My name is Colin Worthington. Our guest this morning, representing the University of West Georgia, President Dr. Brendan Kelly, and Director of Athletics Jason Carmichael, as we reflect on the big news that was released on Friday, that UWG will join NCAA Division I athletics in the coming year. And again, thanks to you guys for coming up here and elaborating and dissecting the information for us. Will there be an increase in fees for students or anything like that?
No. Let's be 100% clear about that. The cost to students doesn't go up at all. At Division II, all of the revenue that we could generate from any source was really maximized. With a transition to Division I, we get to diversify those revenue streams, all of them coming from outside of the university, and there won't be any increase to student fees, and our plan is ever. We have to build a sustainable business model for the university that doesn't always increase costs, and we've been focused on that certainly since I became president, and made sure that is indeed the case. In fact, over the last 2 years, we've been able to remove fees from students with the support of the state. We used to have something called a special institutional fee that students paid every single semester, and now that has disappeared thanks to the support of the
There's no Division I fee.
There is no Division I fee. There is no increase to the cost of students, and there won't be.
I saw this debated online, and I think the answers that I read suffice, but in case people didn't see it, maybe still wondering, the number of female sports, women's sports for the University of West Georgia, a little bit higher than the men's sports. What's the reason behind that? Why don't the men have the same sports?
It's a participant count, Colin. Yeah. When you sponsor the sport of football, you know it's a sport, it's a one sport, but it really comes off of roster opportunities, and so the 9 to 5 current ratio that we have helps us to get a little closer to balance. Adding men's track and field is going to also force us look closely at adding those other women's sports that we've identified as well. So want to try to stay in balance with what we're doing to match our opportunities that our student athletes are our students and our regional prospective students are indicating they have an interest in. And so we're always excited to get those ratios right. But we think right now we're pretty close on that. And when we add track, we'll have to kind of go in and mess with the sauce a little bit again and add a couple sports that really are already aligned with what we're doing. So those are intentionally sports right now that we're focused on because they align with some efforts and some ecosystems that are already being built out.
Will you talk more about those two sports?
Yeah, specifically, men's track and field, I want to start with that. Men's track and field has long been clamored for. Even in this community, and maybe people listening today are in this profile of alumni who actually, ironically enough, are some of our biggest donors who participated as men in men's track and field when they were here in the 70s or 80s. There's a historic kind of cohort there. People like Scott Evans, actually, as an example, is a former trackster for us, our field athlete. So there's this group that's ready to activate, and they've been excited for this potential. And so we're going to launch that out. That's going to be almost an immediate launch, Colin, on track and field on the men's side. As a reminder, we already have everything but men's track and field. We have cross country for men, we have the women's cross country program, and the women's track and field programs. So this just completes that ecosystem. So I'll start with that. Then when you come over to things like volleyball, we have indoor volleyball right now, and we have a great staff in place for that. The extension into beach extends that ecosystem, actually helps you with a little bit of recruiting potentially in that space. And then the same with stunt. Obviously, we have world-class stunt right now, or world-class cheer right now. Stunt is just a pullout of a lot of the high-end cheer. If you come and watch our cheer program, which is very, very unique in its explosiveness and athleticism, that's what stunt is focused on, is that part, that differentiation part. And so building out those ecosystems gives a lot of synchronous energy for us. And so that's been intentional with those focuses. So,
how close did you guys come to getting wrestling or pickleball? I saw those were the favorites online.
Well, pickleball is now engaged in a lawsuit with NCAA over copyright infringement. So let's just start with that one. As a proud NCAA member, we have to say that one's not on the docket, even though we understand it is massively explosive right now with its growth. And then wrestling, as I've had wrestling before in a previous institution. I love wrestling. The moment we turn wrestling on here, we're going to have 40 or 50 athletes run through. There would be some facility needs, that the synchronous energy thing I just mentioned to you. Honestly, right now with the sports we're focused on, Colin, we would just be adding beach volleyball as far as infrastructure, facility infrastructure. So limited investment there. Wrestling would be another thing. We'd have to find some space for that. I know there's a lot of energy around that. We hear that often. I hear that often. I think I have like 4 emails in my inbox right now already about that. I saw the Facebook comments. I know that's a desire. And maybe over time, I guess that's what I would say. We're trying to do this incrementally and do it the right way and build towards excellence and not try to be wild about some of these choices.
Another one that I saw a lot of interest in over the weekend, and I know you guys have seen these too, but I don't want to say musket shooting, but rifle.
Rifle, yeah. North Georgia's got rifle in the state. You typically see rifle with a strong ROTC presence or military alignment. It's not a sport that I would be afraid of as far as that goes, but again, it would need to make sense for us right now. The issue is we want to push out with sports. We need to, but we want to make sure all those sports have a chance to be excellent before we just go add 10 extra sports and we're just average in all of them. We're not doing this to be average. This is a transformative experience. I want to seize on that word. It's elevation, and we use that word a lot too, but the transformative means you actually change. And this is not for everybody. Not everybody's going to be excited about this as far as some of the challenges in front of us, but I'm excited. We're excited as a whole to go forward and attack this. Adding too many ships at one time that we've got to nurture could be detrimental to that push, and so we want to do it with intentionality.
University of West Georgia, good football team year in and year out, and several other sports recognized as well. Are you guys prepared for like a down period? You switch to a new conference, and you're going to take on a few bigger schools. For each competition, but are you prepared for a down period, or are you like, hey, we're going full,
Yeah, so I think Jason and I should probably both respond to that from because I'm not the athletic director. I would use I would describe that as when you elevate and you start taking on a higher level of competition, it forces you, compels you to raise your game, right? I don't look at that as a down period. I look at that as an evolutionary period, a period where we get a chance to really elevate and ask more of ourselves than we have in the past. I would also note that when you get a chance to take on higher level competition in American collegiate athletics, the visibility that comes from that is a very powerful energy. And it fuels some of that performance. Bear in mind that we've seen many athletics programs who have elevated, and just like we have in college football over the last couple weeks, seen some very unexpected results that change people's perspectives and opinions. And we expect to be part of that conversation too. But that's part of the evolution. That's part of the evolution of raising the University of West Georgia up on a more visible platform.
Yeah, and I would just add, Colin, I think there's probably been roughly, I want to say at this point, within the 2000s, maybe about 25 schools that have made this jump across the country.
And how long? Since when?
Since about 2000.
Yeah.
I think 22, 25, somewhere in there. Our consultant and I, we sit down, we looked at those numbers. And, I mean, there's people that do it well. There's people that obviously grind at it. There will be hills. I would make it a little bit like our topography we live in, of there's the top of the hill and you go over the hill and you go, oh wait, no, there's another hill. There's just going to be a constant moving upward kind of motion. I think the key, if you've went from a couch to 5K before and you've kind of dealt with that, the key is to not stop running. I mean, you got to keep moving forward, and then that's where we're at right now, is trying to just make sure we all understand that as a community, we are moving forward, and we can't stop. And so there will be challenges, undoubtedly. There will be changes in front of us, but we're excited to take those on.
Time right now is 8:52. We will take our final break and come back and wrap up this morning's program as we discuss the University of West Georgia athletics move into Division I NCAA. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
The customized academic scholar journey at Oak Mountain Academy is individually designed to provide students with a personalized, clearly defined academic track that earns the student a series of distinctions upon graduation. This journey enables academically driven students to pursue a focused, rigorous course of study personalized to their wants and desires. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
All right, 8:54. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice. My name is Colin Worthington. Our guest this morning for the last 5.5 minutes with the University of West Georgia President Dr. Brendan Kelly and UWG Director of Athletics Jason Carmichael. We did have a lot of comments on here. Bob Uglum says, "Go Wolves." Brian Carmichael, famed photographer, videographer, says, "Go Wolves." I'm going to have to step up my photography skills now. That's true. Got to be Division I photographer.
I think Brian is a Division I
is he?
photographer.
I would he's already checked that box.
We got Bridget Stewart, "Let's go Wolves." Elevation. Matt Skinner says, "Go Wolves." Tyler Paul Smith says, "Go Wolves." Mayor Pro Tem Bridges says, "Hey, Dr. Kelly." And she says, "Next level is always a plus and a platform for tremendous growth. Congratulations to the Wolves. Go Wolves." Thanks for everybody tuning in and watching that this morning. Heard the growth there again. How big of an impact do we see that actually having on the population of the school, and in what period of time?
That's a great question. It's not a data point that we presented in the business case to the Board of Regents, because there is not just a solid data point. What we hear from other universities who have gone through the process is they have experienced a boost in enrollment, but it's an organic boost of enrollment, right? So let's say in the 10 to 15% realm. In the same moment, that's anecdotal reporting and not the type of data that we would use. But when you're more visible in a hyper-competitive environment among universities, that is probably the number one variable, just the way you said, when you're in high school and you start to look at universities, and those that are most visible are the ones that are top of mind, and now we get to be in that conversation in a new way.
I'll add to that too. The conference analysis that we did, we were focused on the best athletic solution, and then we took that to Dr. Kelly, and we had to make the best campus solution as really the deciding factor for us. And then we took that to the board, obviously, and they had to make the best USG decision. But for us, the alignment, Colin, that happens with the conference choice here with the ASUN, today's press conference is going to / pep rally is going to stream in markets like Atlanta. Obviously, we're going to be the ASUN Georgia representative really in this conference as Kennesaw transitions out. So we'll be the go-to in this footprint. We get access to Charlotte in the ASUN. We get access to tons of Florida metropolitan areas where we're recruiting at actively. We get access to Louisville. We get access to a host of people within the Southeast region, the South Atlantic region that we certainly already recruiting out of. And then obviously the entire state of Georgia with the ESPN Plus elevation. We're excited for all those things. So.
All right, Doc, this question I think is definitely for you. You guys have had conversations with the city of Carrollton regarding improvements to Maple Street and the tax allocation district out there. Does this put an urgency on getting something done if we think we're going to have national exposure and doing little pregame shows about our town and showing things off?
I hope so. Since the day that I got here, I've had a sense of urgency about Maple Street, but really about the evolution of our community as a whole, because the University of West Georgia exists in Carrollton, Georgia, and we want to make sure that every element of it is lifted up, advanced, and given great opportunities. Maple Street is a key focus for us. I don't think it puts additional pressure, but I like the term urgency. I do think it, it's like when you've got new guests coming to your house, and all of a sudden you start paying attention to things you might not have cleaned up when it was just you. and for us, everybody's going to be looking at our whole house.
Got about 2 minutes left. Will we see the numbers of transfers increase through the transfer portal who will look at UWG now, you think? And will our sports take advantage of that?
Yeah, I'll be brief with that when I'm calling it. We're already seeing that. We've found ourselves really over the last 2 or 3 years when the portal has lifted like it has, is this oddity of we're a very large, as Dr. Kelly alluded to, very large Division II institution. We present more as a Division I institution now. So transfers have found us to be very appealing already. It's something we were already dealing with. But I would say our natural bent for our current coaching staff is to bend towards high school and growing people. Mm-hmm. The reality is the transfer portal across all of our levels is really flipping the room everywhere. And so we're trying to make sure that we find the right balance with that. But it certainly could be a reality of this transformation. Not necessarily something we're leading with, but it could be a reality.
How about NIL? Will that change? Do those rules change at all going to Division I?
Rules are the same. Yeah. The exposure is going to be different, so there may be more opportunity for student athletes.
All right, guys. Promote the event, the press conference, the pep rally that's going on at noon today, right?
Noon today, and I couldn't be more pleased that it's going to be on ESPN, and that's just a wonderful byproduct of this elevation and our first introduction to that. The ASUN Commissioner, Jeff Bacon, is going to be coming so that we can officially sign our membership agreement and celebrate as a university community one of the most important developments that we've had over the last few decades.
And you're going to be out there in a Tommy Bahama shirt and shorts and we'll have fake sand out there.
You've always seen me dressed that way, haven't you?
I know we're short on time here, Con. I would just say that we don't know how to compare the interest in these events over the last several days. We don't have metrics really. It's been explosive online. So my one disclaimer here is get there early if you're coming, because we have no idea who's coming. It could be a groundswell. It could be a lot of people watching on ESPN Plus. We'll have a lot of people with their hearts and minds on us, but if you want food, want T-shirts, come early.
Very good. Guys, thank you for coming out this morning, and thank you for watching and listening. News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, the Community Voice program. I have a candidate for mayor in the city of Villa Rica on tomorrow's show, so tune in for that at 8:30. Have a great Tuesday.